So it seems in this case, we have some recent developments where a friend has come forward basically saying that everybody's thoughts about it being a racist group and they were after Nolan is all false. It was a very mixed, diverse group. And he talked about this on the Officer Tatum's podcast. But the family of Nolan Wells has seen it and they are disputing everything that's basically saying.
With the autopsy results inconclusive, rumors continue to swirl around the death of Nolan Wells, the 18-year-old who was found dead after boating with his friends on 4th of July weekend. Wells' parents and their attorney, Ben Crump, spoke with Chris Cuomo earlier tonight, and Nolan's mother said there's only one question she wants answered. Watch.
At the end of the day, we would want what any parent would want, which is answers to find out what happened.
They also listened to part of an interview that Brandon Tatum did with one of Nolan's friends, and here's how Nolan's stepfather responded to it.
You heard that kid Trace in the interview say that he was friends with Nolan and that you guys would know him. Do you know him? Do you recognize him?
No, I don't. Just because you park your vehicle in someone's yard doesn't mean that they have to know you. Sounds more to me like he's more focused on getting people to know him and getting away from the fact that his so-called best friend is not here anymore.
Brandon Tatum is.
Now, when he mentioned not knowing someone's car in your driveway, I don't really know. Maybe I would think as the owner of the house, I would ask whose car that was. Oh, that's my friend. I would probably meet the friend, especially if they're saying that they are close like that. But we don't know the relationship. But no matter how it is, it's a tragic situation. And for some reason, they're disagreeing with what the friend is saying. And they're saying that he's only looking for a way to get noticed. But is that true? Let's keep going, though.
The host of the Officer Tatum show, and like I just mentioned, he spoke with some of Nolan's friends. He joins us now. Brandon, thank you for being here. So first, just your reaction to Nolan's stepfather saying he doesn't recognize his friend Trace, who you interviewed, basically alleging that you didn't know him very well at all, if at all.
It's slightly disappointing. I mean, I don't know these people, to be honest. I don't know who's really friends or not. I'm just going off of what Trayston told me, but Trayston did share pictures of him with Nolan at prom. He told me he not only just parked the car outside, he had been over Nolan's house multiple times, and he also gave Nolan a ride to school on multiple occasions. So it's very confusing. I don't know why a young man would say that he's friends and literally be emotional when he talked about Nolan. I mean, he literally cried and teared up off camera. And I felt like it was very genuine. And for the parents to say that they don't know him at all and won't even consider the fact that he believed he was friends with Nolan, it's very shocking to me. And I don't know if they're being genuine because you don't always know your children's friends.
Right. Or
are they still trying to hold on to this agenda that no one who disagrees with the narrative of racism can possibly be associated with them because it destroys their money. Well, I'm not saying the parents' money grift, but Benjamin Crump's money grift.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from Nolan's parents and, of course, his mother. Any parent would want to know what happened, and she expressed that. But there are motives with Ben Crump and his history. There are lawsuits now suing his friends and social media companies fueled by Ben Crump. Do you think that he's helping this family or hurting them in their quest for answers?
Well, Katie, I think he's destroying the reputation of this family and also hurting this investigation. The fact that he put out the autopsy prematurely when law enforcement didn't even put out the autopsy it can convolute the investigation. Because now when you interview witnesses, you don't know if they are saying things because they saw it on television or have they genuinely had an experience only they would have if they were actually there at the scene. And then also, I want to believe his mother. I don't have any reason necessarily, because I don't know her personally, to believe that she would just lie. But when I look at the facts, why wouldn't she communicate with with Warren and their family? They showed me text messages. They showed me phone calls where they called and reached out to her. And if I personally want to know what happened to my child, the first person I'm going to talk to is the people who last saw him alive. I don't understand why they take the position of saying it's us versus y'all. And now you want to subpoena phones and do things like that, which are going to take, I don't know, months for it to come out. And they may not even be granted. I mean, you got to think Nolan was an adult. He wasn't a kid. So some of these social media platforms may not even grant them access to his account if they don't have somewhat of a legal search warrant. So I just wish that they would have come together as a community and got to the bottom of this, got information, and then shared it to the public instead of, making it a divisive thing up front.
Yeah.
Now, I do understand where you think you want to reach out to them, but the parents they think that they did something wrong. They think that someone killed their child. They don't just think that he went missing or something went wrong. They think that someone killed their child. So they're not going to try to reach out and get information from them. I don't know why they immediately went to a black versus white thing, or if they just had no intention of just talking to the friends in general. I can't imagine the pain that the parents are going through. But I think that they feel like they need to get the answers they deserve, and they deserve they deserve the truthful answers and what's real. But will they get that, or will they just disagree with whatever the investigation holds? Now, Mississippi has a lot of things about its history that makes black people worried about the justice system in general, which, I mean, is fair point. But if you don't get the answer you're looking for and you still claim racism, I mean, how do you know if the answer they're telling you is right or wrong if you automatically think they're lying to you? Let's keep going, though.
Brandon, we're still waiting on the toxicology report, but from interviews with Nolan's friends, we do know that drinking heavily was involved, and that Nolan Wells was drinking. And you have on good authority that drugs potentially could have been involved as well. You also visited the island. Just what are your takeaways from what we know about the conditions there and the status of the investigation?
Well, at this point, and I always encourage people to wait until the full investigation is out before you make a conclusion or a determination of whether somebody's guilty or not. Going out to Horn Island was very revealing to me, because the initial statements from people who are talking about this, especially the Nolan Wells family, that they were acting as if they just dropped Nolan off at an abandoned island where no one was around to watch him get murdered or something. And then now you go and look at it, you go, well, no, there was tons of people there. That gives me encouragement that somebody saw what happens. But it also proves in many ways that they didn't just abandon him as if he was a little kid on the island by himself. So seeing the island, going there, gave me a pretty good understanding about what happened.
Now, I didn't see anybody claim that he just dropped him off. A lot of people are claiming that there's no one talking about, or their whole issue is no one saying anything about the last moments. The only thing they've gotten is that the friend said they left him with the girl. The girl says that that she heard him saying, "I'm going back," and they haven't gotten any more information about who saw him after that. But I do think it was such a populated place. It was just looking at the videos that we've seen of the area. There were so many people around. So if somebody would have seen them doing something wrong, I would think. Or in general, but the thing is, people say they would also see him drowning. So there's a lot of things that are coming out, but the main thing is we got to wait for is the autopsy results. Because the main thing we got from the independent autopsy was basically just that he had some bruising on the back of the head and the deep tissue, which could be from blood pooling. And then he also had the throat missing. That was the main things from the autopsy. So we have to wait from the independent autopsy. So we have to wait for the official autopsy and the toxicology to know if what we truly need to find out. But let's keep going.
Certainly injecting race, and we don't have all the facts either, is not helpful. And we will continue to watch this. Brandon Tatum, thank you for joining us.
It's a tragic situation, and the family wants answers, which is rightfully deserved. But like I've said several times, will they be happy with the answers they get, and will they accept them, or will they think that everybody's lying to them and it's a racist agenda? Let's get over to this next video because it was talking about some updates.
The lawyer for the family of Nolan Wells reveals new evidence in their investigation into how he died. Wells was only 18 years old when he disappeared during a 4th of July boating trip with friends off the coast of Mississippi's Horn Island. Days later, his body was found in the water off the Gulf Coast, leading the family to commission a separate autopsy. Minutes ago, the family's attorney, Ben Crump, announced that his team has hired oceanic experts and that investigators will also analyze audio tapes connected to the case. ABC's Peter Haralambous joins me now for more. What else did Ben Crump announce today about their investigation?
Yeah, James, Ben Crump basically saying that his team is doing everything they can to figure out what happened to Nolan Wells, vowing to dot every I, cross every T. 3 specific steps he mentioned is having these forensic audio experts listen to the radio transmissions from the boat that was supposed to bring Nolan Wells back to shore. They've had these oceanic experts as well looking at tide charts for the time around July 4th to trace where Nolan Wells' body might have gone, as well as having the doctor who did the autopsy in the case specifically look at Nolan Wells' throat and lungs, trying to figure out if he was conscious when he went into the water. He also implored Nolan Wells' friends to come forward if they have any information, saying, and I quote here, "Do for Nolan what he would have done for you."
Yeah, that is another big part. The lungs. We need to know what if his lungs were filled with water and if he drowned. That is the biggest thing, because if he drowned, there's no official signs of blunt force trauma that you can clearly see. That sounds like him, like, especially if he comes back with alcohol or different drugs in the system. It's an accident. He accidentally drowned. I can't see any other reason behind it. But let's keep going.
Nolan's family is also issuing subpoenas to social media and tech companies to try and get records of their son's account. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, this is a group of civil subpoenas to the companies including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, TikTok, and the GPS tracking app Life 360. This stems back to what Nolan Wells' mother actually told ABC News earlier this month, that when they retrieved his phone, they noticed that it appeared some messages were missing. They're hoping here that by getting the materials themselves from these social media companies, they can figure out what, if anything, is missing from his device.
Very sad case. Peter.
No, and what I've seen is they've only talked about this. There was no Snapchat data. I haven't seen anywhere they talking about him actually missing text messages, because that'll be a big thing. But this is a tragic situation. The family's very upset, and we all know they just want answers. But the main thing is, will they get the answers that they can accept, or will they believe them? But it's a tragic situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know if you disagree with anything I have said.